Yeah, just really proud of our team, the way we've battled all season. I think we have a tight-knit group, and they're very resilient, and they play for each other. I think you saw that Saturday night, probably our best performance from start to finish on all three phases of the game, and just very proud. And we have a challenging road trip coming this week against Georgia State, and we have a lot to build on from this past week. Hold on a second, this thing's here. But we reviewed the film yesterday, got a lot to improve on, and Coach Elliott has his team playing at a high level, which I know they would be coming into this season, and our goal is to go 1-0 this week in Atlanta.
All right, thank you, Coach. Just a reminder to members of the media, if you have any questions, please go into reactions and raise your hand, and we will be happy to call on you. All right, we'll start off with Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach Clark. Joey Aguilar, I think I saw you guys have put out a stat on his touchdown passes so far this year, maybe top 10 or so in the nation. How have you assessed his performance and improvement through this season so far?
Week by week, he gets better and better. I think he's getting more comfortable in the pocket, getting better with the progression as we go forward. But Joey's an excellent quarterback. He's got a great arm, and again, he's got plenty of room for improvement. As good as he played, you look back, there's some throws he missed he'd like to have back.
And then being a guy from the Huntington area, how big was it for you guys to get that rivalry win over Marshall this past week?
Anytime you win an in-conference game is big. I've been from the state. I know the tradition they have there at Marshall. I know what they've been through, and it's a big win. I mean, that was a rivalry a long time ago, back in the late 80s, early 90s, and again, it's always good to get a win. Again, that's always a special game for all of us.
And then how do you game plan for a team like Georgia State on offense that's got really two dynamic weapons in Darren Granger and Marcus Carroll that can hurt you in a lot of different ways?
No, they have a great team. Coach Elliott just playing against them in the past of the offense. It's anytime you have a quarterback and a dynamic running back and the receivers they have, I think it starts up front as well. I mean, I think Coach Holder's done a great job getting these guys to play hard, and they're hard to defend. You look at the tape. We watched it last night and early this morning. They can really spread you out and run the football, but he's really improved. Granger has with throwing the football. I mean, it's a two-headed monster. So we have to try to find some way to limit the explosive plays this week.
And then for you guys, Milan Tucker got a touchdown and yet another different way this past week. How have you guys tried to implement him in your offense and get his hands on the ball in different ways throughout this season?
No, Milan's a dynamic player, a great kickoff returner. I think we have 5 or 6 dynamic receivers, but he's probably the fastest kid we have at that position. So you always want to try to get the ball in his hands as much as you can. Again, I thought our receiving core did a great job. I'm not sure how many receivers he threw it to this past week, but our receivers caught the ball and they made plays after they caught it, made a guy miss, and scored a few touchdowns.
Questions from Dan. Dan?
Morning, Coach. Still
Morning.
Trying to get hooked up. You had 9 different receivers that caught it, by the way. I wanted to ask you, if you haven't already touched on this, about your defensive play. You had the 3 picks, but you also shut down a pretty good rushing attack and held them pretty much in check. What was the strong parts of what you did defensively?
Well, I think our kids play with some emotion and enthusiasm. I think we started off strong, made a few big plays on defense, and really it came down to doing your 1/11th. I mean, doing your job, and that's what we did. In our defense, if you don't fit the right way, then big plays can happen. But I thought we played fast on defense. I thought our defensive line got pressure on the quarterback, which helped, and I thought our linebackers, starting with Andrew Parker, played downhill, and our secondary read their keys right, broke on the ball, and played loose. And I think that was one thing you saw from our team this past Saturday. Our kids had fun playing football again.
How would you compare that defensive performance with some others that you've had this year?
That was by far the best performance we've had, in my opinion. Again, we've simplified the playbook on defense, and we've gotten our best players on the football field. So we built some depth throughout the year, and that's going to pay dividends down the road for us.
And you touched on Granger a little bit. What's he doing now that maybe he wasn't doing last year or even at the first part of this year?
No, he's a great quarterback, and I can't say good things about him. And they're using him to his best of his abilities. I mean, he can run the option. He can throw the ball downfield. I mean, and then when you give him the pocket, he's elusive back there. And it's going to be a tough game plan because you kind of pick what you do. I mean, if you try to stop the run, and he's got the talent enough arm strength to beat you down the field, and he puts you in some predicaments you don't want to be in.
Does he compare to anybody that you've already faced this year as far as his style?
No, I think he has his own set of circumstances, and he's just a different player. He's a dynamic player, and we do a great job of trying to contain him as much as we can. He's going to make his throws and make his plays. We try to limit the big plays this week.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great victory last weekend. Really proud of our guys, the resiliency, the belief, just kept fighting and plugging away. And, very fortunate to come away with a victory.
Thank you, Coach. First questions come from Keith. Keith, please go ahead. Oh, you're still on mute, Pierce.
Sorry about that. Hey, Coach Beck. Grayson McCall, he's been out the last couple weeks. Do you expect him back this week, or what's the status with him?
He's actually has a doctor's appointment this afternoon. We'll know a little bit more, but again, I think probably not. If he gets cleared there, he's still got to go through some protocol stuff. So I don't know if he'll make it back for this game.
We saw some Ethan Vasco last weekend, and with no Jarrett Guest. Why was Jarrett Guest down? I saw the injury with a McCall, but I don't know Guest status.
Yeah, he had an undisclosed injury.
Fair enough. You used to be a high school coach in Texas back in the day. Obviously your ties to the Longhorns as well, but can you just kind of talk about your ties to Texas and getting to play a team from Texas this week?
Yeah, I mean, I loved my time there, enjoyed it. My daughter was born in Dallas. It's just great high school football coaches. Some of my best friends are either high school football coaches in the state of Texas or have now ventured on to the collegiate level. We have a lot of ties even on our staff here from the state of Texas. Gavin Burford played at Hebron. John Bonney was University of Texas player for us. Coach Niver, Coach Wareheim. We have some ties back to the state. Curtis Fuller, our DB's coach, played at TCU. Obviously it's a great breeding ground and mecca for high school football and recruits.
Thank you, Coach.
Go over to Dan. Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Is it too early to start playing scoreboard watch these last couple of weeks and trying to look and see what everybody else is doing?
Yeah, it's still too early. We got a really tough game this week. We got to worry about us because at the end of the day, we got to take care of our business first.
You're in the situation where you only have 2 conference games left. Most of the other teams have 3 remaining. Is that an advantage at this point, or is it almost a disadvantage?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a disadvantage, kind of the way we're playing. If we had played a non-conference earlier, got a chance to know our guys more, and I don't know, playing Army on the road at West Point, I don't know if that's an advantage to anybody.
How difficult is it to get ready for what Texas State does offensively? Because what they do is very different than what a lot of other people do, probably anybody in this league.
Yeah, pretty much. We got a little taste of it last week. Old Dominion is a very similar style, very, very fast, wide splits. So it's, there's some similarities to it, but obviously different. GJ's done a great job there. His staff from Incarnate Word coming in, they knew each other, knew the system, put it in. Guys learned it, did a good job in a transfer portal, and he's done a remarkable job this year with them. So they're an excellent football team.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you. We'll go to Sam. Sam.
Coach, did you guys take a minute to savor clinching bowl eligibility this past week as a program that, this I think is the 4th straight year that you guys will be bowl eligible?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a great it's a great bonus for the players, right? It's obviously not the goal for the season, but it is a goal for the season. And so to accomplish one of them, especially how the season, kind of had started, the way our players continued to believe, continue to work, just the growth of our whole program from coaches to players, player to coaches. You see it starting to pay dividends out in the games, and to be down 21-6 at the minute or two in the third quarter to come back and win on the road against a really good Old Dominion team. Boys, really, really hats off to our players, our coaches, our staff, to be able to believe and to continue fighting to get that done.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Well, pretty special win for us on Saturday to go on the road and then beat a 6-2 team by 4 touchdowns. I thought we were dominant really for the last 2.5 quarters in all phases. Scored 5 straight drives, 65 yards or more, 43 minutes time of possession. Outgained them about 570 to 230, 240. And it was a good win. So focused in on Connecticut right now. Very dangerous football team that played NC State and Boston College really tough, had the lead in both of those games. And offensively present a lot of issues, preparation issues in terms of multiple shifts, motions, formations, deceptive plays, trick plays, and still can run the ball effectively and with an athletic dual threat quarterback. And so looking forward to playing on Saturday, but a lot of work to do before then.
Thank you. We'll go over to Shane. Shane.
Yeah, Curt. Are you able to say anything specifically about what Jalen Green's injury is and why he'll miss the year?
Yeah, Jalen Green suffered a knee injury at the end of the game, and which will require surgery. So he will miss the remainder of the year. Everybody feels really bad for him. He was having a tremendous season, had a chance to break the sack record, 15.5 sacks, 21 TFLs. He put a lot into this season. The silver lining would be he attracted the scouts' attention, the NFL scouts' attention, which I know is his goal, to play in the league. And he's had a lot of interest from the NFL, in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and since Abby went down in week 1, you've kind of gone mostly with 6 guys up front. Will you, from this point, mainly have those 5 that are left, or are there some other guys who you think might see increased playing time here?
No, we got a couple other guys in the mix that could see increased playing time. Amir Thomas at defensive end and Michael McMullen at defensive tackle. And, we'll be two deep plus on the defensive line. And, we'll figure it out. We've got some flexibility. And it's hard to but, you can't replace a guy like Jalen in terms of that. He had probably more production as a pass rusher than anybody in the country this season.
And when it comes to McMullen, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's played in 2 games this year. Will you try to manage like how you use him, maybe retain that red shirt, or is it kind of full go for him?
You're not really thinking that far in advance. There's so many things that can happen during the course of a football game. So, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Go over to Jackson.
Hey, Coach, your team has unfortunately had a couple of noticeable season-ending injuries so far this season. How's your team responded to them and kind of been able to bounce back and stay focused as the year's gone on? And how do you hope that they respond to Jalen's injury?
Yeah, well, it's been a next man up mentality around here. In the opener against Bucknell, we lost Abby and Van Horst, who we considered starters. Then we lost our 2 starting linebackers week 2 for about 3 weeks. And we lost Nick Kidwell, who was our best offensive lineman the first play at Utah State, and lost Tyshawn White, the other starting tackle, a couple of weeks ago. So, but the guys that have come in have done a great job. We've got a lot of good players here, and, we've been able to keep going and not really skip a beat.
I'll go over to David Teal. David?
Curt, what type of play was Jalen injured on? Was it a freak kind of thing? Did somebody roll up on him? Could you tell?
Yeah, more and more of these knee injuries are non-contact. He was rushing the passer from the left side. The quarterback ducked underneath, and he then tried to pivot on his right foot and sort of do a 180, and his knee gave out.
You and other coaches always preach about controlling the controllables, but is there a part of you that would at least like to be curious to see where the college football playoff committee would rank your team in comparison to other group of 5 teams?
Not really curious. I mean, we'd be in those rankings, probably somewhere around where we're ranked, but it's not where you are today, it's where you finish. I steadfastly believe we should be a part of those rankings. There's no reason we shouldn't be a part of those rankings. And but it's Monday. We've had the 24-hour rule to kind of think about those kind of things, and now the total focus is on Connecticut.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Lucina. Lucina?
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well, and thanks for your time. Your quarterback might have just had the best game of his career. How do you keep building on that, and how important is it for your players to peak right at the end of the season?
Oh, yeah, I think it's very important, and he did have the best game thus far with us, and I still think there's another level that he can take his game in terms of how he practices, prepares, and statistically that game would be hard to beat, but he'd be the first to tell you there's a few plays out there that we could have made that we didn't make, but he was sensational, and he just keeps getting better and better and more confident. With success comes his confidence and his belief and his teammates' belief in him. And so we got to keep it on an upward trajectory.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll go over to David Hale. David?
Hey, Coach. Sorry, I jumped on like a minute or two late. I'm sorry if you already addressed any of this, but what kind of spirits was Jalen in after the injury and after sort of the news that his season was over? And is there a chance or a significant chance that he would come back next year?
Yeah, well, he's disappointed, but he's a mature guy. He's got dreams of playing in the NFL, so he's got to have that surgery done and begin his rehabilitation process and get ready for his opportunity. His eligibility has expired. He did miss the COVID season because of an injury also, but he's not eligible for medical hardship.
Thanks. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, really good win this past weekend versus a really quality opponent. Got that 6th win, got the bowl eligibility for this university, for these seniors, for this team. That was huge. Really, really excited for those guys. That's what I told them. Really excited for the guys that decided to stay when the coaching change happened, and thankful for the opportunity to go lead these guys. But as we know in this league, you're always, that next game is always a tough one, and we're on the road versus a team historically. When you take that job, that's one you got circled just because of the success they've had the last 10 years, and such a cool environment, such a cool place, and so really excited for this one, and versus another quality opponent with a really good coaching staff. Questions?
Coach, we'll start off with Dan. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Is there any validity to the old theory that if your offense is really clicking, they also can get your defense motivated? Because it looked like that's what happened with you guys in those middle 2 quarters.
Yeah, I think for us, to be honest, the last couple of weeks, really after the Lafayette game, I think our defense has kind of got the offense energized a little bit, and we just didn't finish, and we turned the ball over. And I thought we played good complementary football this week, and when the defense would get a stop or a turnover, we'd move the ball and either score a touchdown or at least get some kind of points out of it. So I thought we played well off each other this past week, and yeah, I think our defense is playing at a pretty high level right now, and doing a good job, being physical and getting some takeaways either on fourth downs or interceptions or fumbles.
How do you rank TJ's performance Saturday so far this year?
Yeah, I think that was probably his best game, and we really challenged him really the Troy week, but then I think it really clicked for him this week, just using your legs, and we did a good job of giving him some zone read stuff, and then when the play broke down, taking off and running, because he's fast. I mean, he's a big guy, 6'7", 265, and when he gets going, he's fast and can make some things happen. So, that's what it takes. In those big games, historically, I've always been a coach that runs his quarterbacks in those big games. So that'll continue down the stretch.
What do you see in Coastal? It's almost like they're not quite the team if Grayson's not in there, but do you have to prepare, assuming that he may play some?
Yeah, that's the tough thing, because you just don't know, and obviously, anytime you're dealing with a head type injury, it's you always got to be safe, and so hopefully he's doing better, and you always want the best for someone like that and the caliber of quarterback that he is, and man, he's a special player. So it's one of those deals where you got to prepare really for three quarterbacks right now, and that's what me and the defensive staff are in there doing right now. So they're a really good team with really good coaches, and you've seen the last couple of weeks what kind of coaching staff they have, winning with two different quarterbacks, and that's tough to do, and Coach Beck does a great job, and you see Coach Wareheim coming alive a little bit with his run game stuff the last couple of weeks. So they're really talented and really well coached.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yep.
All right, next questions will come from Kev.
Thank you. Hey, Coach. So three losses for you this season. They've always bounced back with 3 wins. So what goes into those weeks after those losses? What do you specifically go over to get to right the ship a little bit?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to coaching these guys hard and really focusing on yourself and the small details, and I think that's why you get paid. Is in times like that, times of adversity, and I think we bounce back each time, and credit to the coaching staff and credit to these kids.
Obviously getting that 6th win is big for bowl eligibility, but how important is it to leave no doubt and get a few extra wins? Because we've seen this program at Texas State get to 6 wins and not get a bowl.
Yeah, I think for us, it's probably a little bit different now than it was, but from here on out, you're just trying to go 1-0, and that's what I told the guys last night is hey, we got that 6th win. Now we can coach you harder, right? Now it's a new staff coming in. You got to do some things to get to the point we're at now. But now it's coach me coach mentality, and now we're just going to turn up the volume a little bit on them, and the small details, everything matters.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, let's go over to Alan Blondin.
Hey, Coach, could you just talk a little bit about the origins, influences, and development of the offense that you run?
Yeah, I think we're pretty unique in what we do. Obviously, my background is a quarterback, and Mac Leftwich's background as a quarterback. I think, Coach Malzahn, me going there and with him for many years and as a player, and then working for him, and then going to NFL with Chip Kelly had a huge influence on me. And then when I went back to UCF and learning, really from Dylan Gabriel and Darryl Wyatt, the wide split vertical choice stuff really made sense to me. And then getting back with Coach Leftwich when I got the job at UIW, some of the past game stuff, air raid stuff that I ran with Chip and that he had run with in that system with Eric Morris, and we really blended an offense. And Jordan Shoemaker, our run game coordinator and O-line coach, had been with Bryles for a long time at Baylor and played for him at Houston, and so it was just it was a good combination of a couple of different offenses, and obviously you're always going to kind of tailor it to the quarterback that you had, and then you bring in Craig Stutzman this year that was played for June Jones and Rolovich, and was kind of the run and shoot background, and kind of what he had accomplished at Hawaii and then at Utah Tech last year, and so we implement a lot of those past concepts as well, and so it's really a hodgepodge of stuff that we've learned throughout the years, and then we tailor it to what we have on offense with our personnel.
All right, let's go over to Colton Poole.
Hey, Coach. Was just hoping to ask. I'm working on a story about Ismail, and just kind of what kind of person, what kind of athlete is he, and what does he bring to the table for you guys as a program?
Yeah, tremendous player, tremendous speed, great attitude, and I think he's starting to get healthy again, which is good to see. He was so banged up, Monroe and Troy, but he's healthy now and feeling good, and just a special player, and special kick returner, great hands, smart. So he really is the whole package, and once he has a couple more off seasons under his belt, he'll have a chance to play at the next level.
And just generally speaking, when you were considering bringing him in, what kind of potential, I guess, did you see in him?
Yeah, I saw the speed, and that was something that we needed on offense. And he had played. That was a true freshman in the Southland, and I was in that league, and just seeing some of his highlights and kind of his vision and acceleration and things. I thought it'd be a good fit in our offense, and that's kind of when you're doing the whole portal. There's a lot of good players and all that, but who fits your offense? And I thought he fit our offense really well.
All right, that's all I got. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, Coach Kinne. Appreciate the time today.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations to Coach Kinne and Texas State. I thought they played a tremendous football game, getting bowl eligible, and really played at a high level. After having a 10-7 lead in the first quarter, we really did some significant errors to be able to create separation, and just really couldn't overcome that separation, just playing even football in the second half. Primarily, I thought Texas State did a tremendous job on 3rd and 4th down situations, 10 of 17, while we didn't. We were 4 of 12 on the day, and you look up and you only have 4 drives in the first half and 22 plays, and that's not been our MO. And so if you give a really good offense a bunch of opportunities and can't get off the field, then points are going to happen to you. And I thought there were 3 critical moments in that game. One with a penalty off a punt of running into the punter, then backed up by an out on downs, and then a turnover on a P&10 on our side of the field, and that created that separation in the second quarter. So told the team still have everything ahead of them, sitting here in November, controlling our own destiny, and got a chance to go win a conference championship. So we've got to turn the page extremely quickly, getting ready to go to Huntington, West Virginia, and play a good Marshall team. So with that, take any questions you have.
For our media on the call, please raise your hand to ask a question, and we'll call on you. Our first questions will come from Dan McDonald.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Did it feel like you were trying to stop an avalanche there in the second quarter and just couldn't get enough bodies in front of the snow?
Well, you're sitting there, and you just sometimes there's going to be a key moment in the game that could switch the momentum, and you're sitting there with the lead 10-7, and you're looking to get really good field position on a punt, and we run into the punter an extended drive when it was going to be a day that was going to be hard to get off field, and every drive was going to matter. So we come out on the first 2 drives and put 2 scoring possessions together, and then we get a 3rd down stop, got a chance maybe to get great field position, go up 2 scores, and we allow them to continue that drive and to take the lead. Then you back up that with a out on downs around the 40-yard line, and then a turnover on our side of the field back to back. you end up with 4 drives in the first half against a good offense. You can't do that. And so credit to them. I thought Texas State played at a very high level and really executed their offense tremendously. We had some misfits, some missed tackles, and did not play well in our man coverage, and that allowed a good offense to put points on the board early.
If I could ask one more about that game, I know Texas State gets a lot of exposure for what it does offensively, but it looks like their defense has played better and better over the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, we saw it. I mean, you see the game they had against ULM, being able to keep them in that game until the last 5 minutes. You've watched the last couple of weeks. The defense has kind of led the way and allowed them to be in game situations. And then, in this game, I thought they did a tremendous job with us. We have been a really good 3rd down and 4th down football team, one of the top in the country. And 4 of 12 has not been our standard. We're usually 50% or better, keeping drives alive and being able to have a lot of plays. If you ever see us under 60 plays, that means we probably had a really poor day on 3rd and 4th down, and that was the case in this. So credit to defense. I thought they played really well.
You mentioned Texas State getting bowl eligible. You're already there. This league has a chance to do something really special this year as far as the number of teams, not just bowl eligible, possibly getting into bowl games. I take it this doesn't come as a surprise to you.
No, I've said this many times on this media conference. I think this is the premier Group of 5 league. It was something that I was so excited about coming to Georgia Southern because I knew the strength of the league, how the presidents and the commissioner held this league intact, no teams leaving, and then added a James Madison and added a Marshall and a Southern Miss and an Old Dominion. And you look at the quality of teams and coaches and players that are coming out of this league. It's a special league, and so there's no surprise that you're going to have a multitude of bowl eligible teams. It feels like every week you're having to play for the day Super Bowl, and here we go again, getting ready to go up to Marshall, who's fighting for postseason eligibility in these last couple games for them on a special day, the Memorial Weekend for them. So there's no easy weeks in this league. It's something where you better bring your A game.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go over to Luke Creasy.
Coach, you mentioned Marshall there. Obviously they're on a 5-game skid, but what do you see from them from a competition standpoint? Obviously a team that started hot and just haven't strung together a couple good games here recently.
Yeah, I see the same defense that plays at a very high level. That's the one thing that stands out. I know offensively, they've gone back and forth in between quarterbacks and things, but this is a team that does have several playmakers still on offense. We witnessed that last year, and I think the defense still plays at an extremely high level. When they still got the members of that last year's team that was one of the best defenses in the nation. They're still one of the best defenses not only in our conference but the nation. And we've got a huge challenge ahead of us. Obviously, not playing to our standard last week. We've got to be concerned with ourselves and how we play against a really good Marshall football team. So I know Coach Huff does a great job. He's been doing it for a long time at a very high level. And I know those kids, they come from a proud football tradition there at Marshall, and they'll be fighting like heck for postseason eligibility. So we'll get their best foot forward this week. There's no doubt in my mind.
All right, let's go over to Luciano.
Hey, Coach, thanks for your time. Hope you're well. Marshall is finally coming home after 2 consecutive games on the road. What are your thoughts on playing in that particular venue, and how would you evaluate your team's performance on the road throughout this season?
Well, we're sitting here within this league, and I think this league has tremendous home environments. And you look at Georgia Southern, Marshall, App State, James Madison. You're talking about programs and teams that have some of the highest winning percentages at home in the history of the game. And so when you're dealing with that, you've got to be a good road team. Right now, we've said just coming off a loss on the road, we need to go back to hopefully what we we did against Ball State, which was play great in all three phases and be able to support each other. We did not do that in this last game. So I've always said when you go on the road, you've got to play to your standard, and you've got to worry about yourself even more than maybe your opponent. And that's what we have to do. We've got to get some things fixed this week as we prepare against Marshall and go into another hostile environment. Two of our last three games as we try to fight for a conference championship is all on the road. So we've got to find a way to be successful on it.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach Helton. Appreciate the time today.
Thanks, Sam. Take care.
Yeah, again, another tough loss that we had this past Saturday in the game we just played. But you can't have three turnovers. We had our young freshman had no turnovers last week, and he had three in the first quarter this week, and then they had a double pass for a score. One play double pass for a score. Then our defensive backs ran into each other, and they had a 68-yard score, and all of a sudden, three interceptions, two big plays. We're down 17-0 in the first quarter. After that, it's a ball game, and our kids continue to play hard. And we're even in the fourth quarter, we score again. We put our senior quarterback back in to see if he could give us a spark, and he hit a pass that broke for a touchdown. Then we drive the next team down to the 11-yard line, but he fumbles the ball on a quarterback keep. And instead of being 17-14, we're down now 24-7. And that's kind of been the way it's been for us. It's been a tough year for our young men. But we have to find ways not to lose games. That's the first thing you got to learn how to do. You always play to win and not play not to lose. But there are certain things in regard to turnovers and big plays that you always must do so that you don't lose a game before you play it, or you don't give the game a chance to play out. And right now we've been through a lot of that. And but you know what? We're trying to find the right key at quarterback, and we've been through a lot of that this year. And you can't succeed in this conference. You better have a quarterback, because everybody does. The teams that are good, they've got good quarterbacks, or veteran quarterbacks, or quarterbacks that have fit their system. And so we're still experimenting a little bit there. And since Hunter Herring, our quarterback, early broke his collarbone, we've kind of tried to find a spark there. But overall, team playing hard. And now we got Troy. And the only thing I say about Troy, you got a chance to go against the top team in the division, or one of the top teams in the conference year in and year out. And you line up against a great team. And I think when you're struggling like this, that type of team that can come in here and just they can really get after you if you don't play well, but it gives our players a chance and an incentive to say, man, we got to go play well. We got a great opportunity here. We play one of the better teams in the league. Outstanding defense every year, just unbelievable defense. They don't beat themselves, and it'll be our senior day, last home game of the season for us. And so a lot to play for in regard to who we're playing and the level of competition. And the key is that our players just keep playing hard and doing the best they can, and try to come up with a game and find a way to win against a very, very good opponent.
All right, for our media on the call, please raise your hand and we'll call on you to ask your questions. Our first questions will come from Dan McDonald.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Did it seem like you were in the middle of the avalanche? You interception, one play touchdown, you missed the field goal, one play touchdown. What's the feeling like when something like that's going and you've just got to find a way to bring that to a halt?
Well, you got to you're just hoping that the blood will stop you. Somehow you can keep the blood to stop running. You got to you need a play. But what happened was after that terrible sequence of plays, my poor freshman, he didn't have a turnover last week, and I know he just felt terrible. And then the big plays that we had against that we hadn't given up a lot of big plays this year. But at that point, you just got to hope it stops, which it did, because the entire second quarter, we missed a field goal. You mentioned that. And we went down there to score, and we got inside the 10, ended up having to settle for a field goal. And that doesn't help the situation. But you say, okay, let's just keep calm down, see if we can get this thing turned, come out the second half. And for the third week in a row, our players have come out in the second half and scored on the next drive. And I think it may have been the second drive that we scored on, but had a big play. to get ourselves back in the ball game. But you can't let those things happen week in and week out. It seems like this year we've gotten ourselves in a situation where we've had to come from behind a lot of times, and when you lose 2 games by 1 point virtually on the last play of the game early in the season after a 2-0 start, you have to overcome. And but that's our job. Our job is to be better doing it what we do. That's the key, is somehow get these guys to say, listen, man, we don't turn the ball over, we don't give up a big play. We're in every ball game. Let's go back to taking care of our business and making sure we don't, like I said earlier in my interview, let's don't lose the game before we have a chance to win it. And that's kind of what's happened.
You mentioned the quarterbacks. I know it doesn't help a lot, but do you ever think, where your group might be, had Hunter been available to you all year long?
Well, it goes back even further than that. We had a starter, Chandler Rogers, who jumped in the portal to go to another Group of 5 school that kind of hurts you with your all those reps and all those games he played last year. Jaya doing everything he can to find a way to start in his 6th year. But by the mid first game, Hunter Herring, who we thought would be a pretty good quarterback for us, won the first game, won the second game, but in the second game broke his collarbone. I don't know. You try not to focus on that. But when you lose 2 or 3 games in the last minutes of a game, and you go back through that, it's hard enough to have a quarter. There's no say if you got more than one quarterback, you don't have a quarterback. Usually you got somebody that really stands out, that really is a difference maker on your squad. But you got to be able to step up and do it. So nobody's fault. We put a lot of burden on our quarterback just by not doing the other things necessary. And but that's one of those positions that woulda, coulda, shouldas don't help too much in football. And I hate to play on them. When I want everybody else to do their part to rise above. And to find a way to win, and that's just over the years I've just said let's keep finding a way to win.
How do you keep your guys with that attitude?
Yeah, that's the hardest part about coaching is when you lose, you've got to keep their motivation up. You got to find ways to inspire guys to be their best, and you just have to do it. But you know what? You go look at the games every week, and here's a team that's having a tough year, lose a quarterback, things are going wrong, and all of a sudden they rise up the occasion and knock off a top 10 team, or they knock off one of the best teams in the conference. It happens every single week. And you wonder what goes through the mindset of those young men, because all of us coaches and know that each week it chips at you. It gnaws at you when you lose a close ball game. But the object of, as a head coach, you become a little bit of a cheerleader. You become a little bit of a soothing psychologist. You got to motivate those guys to understand there's never a reason not to play your best. There's never a reason not to love to play just to win the game you're playing. And I think those are the kind of things you got to do when you lose the close ones like that, and you get to that situation.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Coach Bowden. Appreciate the time today.
All right. Thank y'all.
Yeah, we played last Thursday. We won the game. We got a game Saturday. We got to get ready to win another game and get better. So with that, open it up.
All right. For our media, raise your hand and we'll call on you for questions. Our first questions will come from Dan McDonald.
Morning, Coach. How big was getting that last touchdown right before halftime?
Really big. I mean, it's tied 7-7. Momentum. Talk about the middle 8 a lot of the times, the last 4 minutes before half, and the first 4 minutes coming out of the half being big momentum swings in regards to stealing some points maybe. And it was a big time catch by Silu, and just I think had a huge momentum shift in the game there. So pivotal to us getting the win was probably that play for sure.
Can you rate Gunner's performance in that game? It looked like he hit on every time you needed a big play, he got you a big play.
Yeah, he's played really good, really clean the last couple of weeks. I didn't think we protected him as good this game as we have the previous couple, but he played like a veteran. He's kind of just been steady and really sound. And, I tell people all the time, I don't know if Gunner's going to win a beauty pageant, but he's going to win some football games because he does the right things and takes care of the football and makes good decisions. And he's an ultimate team guy. He leads the team really well. And I thought he played pretty clean. I think we got to do, like I said, we got to do a better job protecting him. We had one protection where we really kind of just were laid off the ball, had a snap sort of that wasn't timed up with the cadence, and had an issue, but proud of the way he's playing. And big part of the way he's playing so well is because every time I walk by Coach Craddock's office, I feel like Gunner's like in there watching extra tape on his own by himself. And sometimes you got the young quarterbacks in there with him. And so when you prepare really well, you usually play pretty well.
Can you talk a little bit about Kamani? I mean, obviously he's hit a lot of milestones and hit a lot of landmarks for you this year.
One of the hardest workers I've ever been around. Very he's not introverted, but he's just not a really outspoken young man. He just kind of is easy come, easy go, but ridiculously consistent. Don't ever show up and wonder, hey, I wonder if Kamani's ready to go today at practice or to work out or whatever. Just does everything the right way. Very hard worker, like I said. Not surprised. He's physically gifted, but I mean, what puts him over the top is how detailed he is in everything that he does.
I know you mentioned, it's time to go to work on the next one, but you're in an enviable situation now. Do you look at the scoreboard? Do you look at how other games might fall in just to see what happens from here on in?
I mean, I look at the scores each week, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, I mean, I see who won and who lost and how, but I don't really, doesn't affect how we prepare or play or any of that. I don't look at the scoreboard during the game. I mean, I look at the scoreboard of the game we're in, see what the score is. But during the, like Sunday or whatever, Saturday, I'll look and see who won and lost. But for us, I just want to play our best version of what we can play. We hadn't played good like the last couple of weeks, like early. I mean, like last week, we didn't play a good football game. And so we might score more points than our team. We didn't play very good. So I think that's my message to our team this week is how can we play our best, because we really hadn't done it.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's jump over to Craig Stevenson. Craig, you're on mute here.
Yep, sorry. You guys are 9-0 in the division the last 2 years against Sunbelt West. How big has that been, the way you guys are able to take care of business in the division?
No, it's huge. I mean, helps you with like tiebreaker stuff, I think, if you're tied or whatever at the end. But I mean, this is a tough league, man. I mean, everybody, I look at like our side and the other side, but our side has improved so much. I mean, you look at, Louisiana's got players. South Alabama's got maybe as much talent as anybody in our league, roster-wise, but they got returning players. Texas State, what those guys are doing. Arkansas State's playing good. Monroe has got players. Monroe beat us on a bunch of recruits last year that I tried to get. So, I mean, everybody in our league's got good players, and Southern Miss has got good players. And so to win in our league is always hard. I feel like I've coached in the SEC. I feel like this is the group of 5 version of being the SEC. I mean, every week it's a slugfest.
And you guys had a couple extra days this week. How did you able to use that extra time?
So Friday morning we met as a team. I had that meeting scheduled for 7, but because we won, I pushed it back to 7:15. And we met as a team. I checked classes Friday morning from 8 a.m. to 1 o'clock to make sure our guys took their butt to class and didn't skip class. And then went on the road, recruited Friday night, gave everybody the program off Saturday, and then yesterday got back to work as normal. But hopefully a little bit of more recovery just with the turnaround. We were out some guys last week, and so hopefully we get a few of those guys back. We missed 3 or 4 guys from the game that didn't play to make a big deal about it, but we had 3 or 4 starters that didn't play.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Coach Sumrall. Appreciate the time today.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, you come off of a game where you don't play to your standard, didn't coach to our standard. and went out there and took one on the chin. And, you know, Arkansas State came out, they were ready to play, and they put together a good plan. Their kids executed really well. So, you know, for us on a short week, but regardless, right, whenever you don't get the results you want, whether you get them or you don't, you got to keep your foot on the gas and keep moving forward. And for us, you know, there's still a lot at stake for us. You know, we get an opportunity to go play for bowl eligibility this week, opportunity to play at home against a really good opponent that, you know, last year we went over there and you know, they put it on us firsthand. So there's a lot of things for us to be excited about moving forward and playing for. You know, got an opportunity to finish the season really strong, even though some of these things maybe didn't go our way throughout the course of it. But it's, you know, it's the game, man. You know, there's some games you come after the game, you feel like you played really well and all those things were clicking. And there's other days like Saturday where, you know, you're one off here and there and you didn't put forth your best effort. And, you know, I think the disappointing thing, you know, you hear a lot of these coaches talk about, everybody wants to play to their standard and everybody wants to feel like they played a really good football game. And whether you win or you lose, you can handle those results. It's when you don't play really well, those are the ones that eat at you a little bit. But particularly on a 5-day turnaround, you better put the thing behind you and you better get it moving forward. And so that's what we've done. You know, we've got our eyes forward to the next one, Southern Miss at home on Thursday.
All right. For our media on the call, please raise your hand to ask your questions. Our first question will come from Dan McDonald.
Morning, Coach. You think your guys remember a lot about that game last year with Southern Miss, and can you use that as a little bit of motivation?
I hope so. You know, we went over there and they jumped on us right away and really kind of took the game, and we were kind of trying to climb back in it the whole way through the second half. So really through the last 3 quarters. You know, yeah, they need to remember that, and they need to understand, you know, those guys have a lot of starters that are back. So we better get ready to go play our best game. And that's what we've talked about, is it's about us and us. You know, I mean, the last, you know, few weeks, it's been Jekyll and Hyde a little bit. You know, I mean, we've played great at one game, and then you play really poorly another one. And, you know, I mean, we're not a good enough team to go out there and just roll the ball out there and think we're going to beat people. You know, we have to play with an edge. We have to have that chip on our shoulder a little bit, and we got to go out there and we got to go play with a little bit of fire in our belly. And we didn't do that on Saturday. And as coaches, we got to prepare our guys to go do that. We got to understand that every game we play is important. Every one of them is critical. And, you know, and that's what, as a program, you know, you got to develop that maturity and that understanding that week after week, if it's not your best, you're leaving a whole lot of things up to chance. And so we've got to go put together our best plan this week, and we got to get our kids to go out there and go execute our plan this week.
I have to ask about the status on Zion. What is his status going forward, as far as you know?
Yeah, you know, it doesn't look like he'll be back this week. You know, the details beyond that, you know, we're not going to go into, but it would be tough for him to turn around in a short week. You know, and it depends on the extent of kind of some of these things.
And I wanted to ask you also about, we haven't talked much about Ben Woolridge recently. What is his status and how's he coming along?
So Ben ended up having to have surgery. So he is out for the year. You know, he's just doing rehab and things like that, but Ben won't be available for the rest of this year either.
If I could ask you one more, you're trying to get bowl eligible this week. A couple other teams have reached that in the last couple of weeks. This league has a chance to really do something special this year as far as number of teams bowl eligible and number of teams that have a shot at getting into bowl games. I'm sure this doesn't come as a surprise to you.
No, not at all. I mean, if you're just paying attention to this thing at all, I mean, you look around the league and there's a hell of a lot of good football teams out there. I think we've got great coaches in this conference. We got guys that really prepare their teams well. Their kids are well coached and disciplined. You've got really good football players. I mean, the footprint of our conference lends itself to having really good football players, and it's not a surprise to me at all. I mean, you just look week in and week out, and the conference, you know, we're having wins out of conference. We're beating each other up in conference. You know, it's become really good football, and it's something that I don't think surprises anybody.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Yeah, big win for us last week back at home. Played well in all three phases for the most part. Got out to an early lead, came out hot offensively, and then late in the game, we were able to kind of take the air out of the ball with two great drives late in the game. One to score, and then another one to run the clock out and kneel on it, on the 1 yard line. Thought we played great defensively the whole game. It's probably our best game, leveraging the ball and tackling, forced some turnovers. And, in the kicking game, our kickoff coverage unit played really well. We did give up some punt return yardage that we got to get cleaned up, and we got a field goal blocked on a low kick, which is something we got to get corrected. But good step forward for our team. We got a young team with only 12 seniors, and some of these young guys are starting to grow up late in the year, and it's good to see. We got a great challenge this week, playing Louisiana at their place on Thursday night. They got a really good football team. I got great respect, for Mike Dez and what he does. He does it the right way. And so it'll be a great atmosphere Thursday night. We're looking forward to going down there.
Hey, Coach, we will start off with Heath. Heath, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Last week you talked about the guys learning how to win. You got a young team. You feel like you took steps this week, especially with those long drives into the game where you maybe hadn't finished the way you wanted to after starting fast the week before?
Yeah, I think so, and that's something, Heath, early in the year, there was a big emphasis every week, when I talk to you guys like, Coach, how do you start faster? How do you start faster? Well, we've gotten to where we start pretty fast. We've had good starts the last two games and some a little bit, before that. And it was good to see us make the play to finish it late in the game, and something we can build on moving forward.
All right. Heath, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, wanted to ask about the secondary, especially Zay with his interception. Can you just talk about, what that did for him? And I noticed you were really happy on the sideline for him a little bit. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, I love, these kids, we got so many young kids that we recruited since we got here that are starting to make plays. We've had 2 recruiting classes, so that, that class, Zay's a redshirt sophomore, and he's a young kid. MJ Daniels is a true junior, and MJ played lights out at corner as well. Michael Caraway is a redshirt young kid. And, those kids, Rambo's moved over there. They're starting to get it, and they're making plays, and it's been fun to watch. And I love those kids, man. And I appreciate what they've gone through. And so I'm just really, really happy for Zay. 4 weeks ago, Zay was playing wide receiver. So it's been fun to watch and fun to watch his attitude and how he's grown.
We'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, this has been one of the most played matchups in the Sun Belt, a long history of Louisiana and Southern Miss playing. How exciting is it for your program to get to showcase this matchup on ESPNU on Thursday night?
Yeah, we're excited about it. It's a big rivalry game, not just in football, but baseball as well. And then basketball, it was packed last year when they played here. And so it's 2 schools that really love their teams. They've got their own real fan base. I coached at Louisiana. I understand, that fan base and how passionate it is. And of course, we've got an unbelievable fan base. So it's two schools that have their own fan base. It's not like they've got their big Power 5 teams they root for and they just root for the hometown team. Like, our fans really are all about us. And so, and we're nearby. The geographic location of it all is awesome. And man, they're having a good year. They're 5-4, pushing to get bowl eligible. And like I said, I've got great respect for Mike Dez and George Munoz and a lot of their staff members that I've known for a long time. They do a heck of a job, and it'll be a heck of a matchup.
And then you guys have won, I believe it's 10 straight in the series. What would you guys need to do on Thursday night to be able to keep that streak going?
Yeah, well, for
I'm
us,
good. How are you?
Each week for us is, it's about ourselves. It's about growth. It's about getting these young guys better. And we've taken some strides in a lot of ways, but we have to play well. We're not good enough to win when we don't play well. So we've got to win the turnover battle. We got to play great in the kicking game. All those things that you hear every coach get on here and say, we're going to have to do to win a big game on the road versus a really good football team.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, guys.
Sure. Good afternoon. Big week for us right here. Got Appalachian State coming into town. They're coming off a couple wins. Our football team's coming off a couple losses, and we got to really dig deep and find ourselves and kind of pull ourselves out of the doggone doldrums of hell, so to speak. But we've got a really good attitude. Our football team's ready to go. We had a great meeting this morning. We've got a lot of things aired out. And a lot of conversations, a lot of tough conversations, a lot of things that needed to be said. And we've come out refreshed and we're ready to go. So Appalachian State presents a huge challenge for us. Coach Clark, all those guys up there on the mountain up there in Boone, North Carolina, are coming down here to the city of Atlanta and Center Park Stadium at 2:00 on Saturday. So look for a nice afternoon against a great football team, great competitor, and Coach Clark and his staff. And we're looking to bounce back in the win column.
Coach, we'll start off with Brady. Brady, please go ahead.
Coach, you alluded to it a little bit there, but I know you don't want to ride the highs or lows of a season too much. Are you looking for a response in practice this week after Saturday, or did you see some of that already with the meetings you talked about having?
Well, we're always looking for a response. It doesn't matter. Responses if you win or lose. I think we had a really good conversation this morning. I told our guys that when we took the day off, which kind of sounds funny to go out there and play the way we did the other night. But, I thought we were sluggish there in the second half. And for whatever reason, the energy and enthusiasm and the excitement to go play the game wasn't there. So we took it off. But we had really good meetings today, really good open conversations. And I would imagine our Tuesday morning practice is going to be a really good one.
And the defense has given up some points the last couple of weeks, but they've also been on the field 160 plays, 75 minutes. So when you're evaluating the defense, how much of it is between, there's things they obviously need to correct, but also making sure they're not on the field as much?
Well, I think you got to get your crappy offense generated some doggone movement. Right now, we're not playing very well offensively. Last week was a bad plan that was executed poorly. We're going to have a good plan. We're going to have a really good mindset, and our guys are going to go out and execute this week, and that's going to help our defense out tremendous. Our defense understands what they're going up against. They're going up against a nice running machine that the Appalachian State has had for the last as long as I can remember, since I was there. So we're going to have to really be on point. The quarterback's throwing the ball well, but offensively, we've got to do better in keeping those guys off the field, give them some breaks, and generate some excitement like we've been accustomed to doing earlier in the year.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brady. We'll go over to Stan. Stan?
Brady stole most of my questions, Shawn, so I don't have anything really.
Brady does that. Brady does that.
He's a well-known thief. You guys have never beaten Appalachian State, and there's a lot of, Georgia State's got a lot of ties to them. You're an App State guy, Charlie is, and there's a lot of things. What would it mean?
I'm an App State guy. Charlie's not an App State guy. Charlie worked at App State. He's not an App State guy. I was an App State guy, and I graduated from there. Yes, we do have some ties. We understand we haven't beaten Appalachian State. We understand they're a good football program. They've been along a good football program for a long time. They present huge challenges for us. They're well coached. They're coached by a former player in Shawn Clark. They understand what's at stake. They understand that I played there, and they understand I'm going to do what I can to put a really good product on the field to try to beat them. I mean, it's out in the open. So I'm not going to make this game more than it is. It's not. But anytime you play a good football program like that, it's a big time opportunity for you. And we've been kicked around and pushed around by them for a long, long time. So that's motivation and inspiration enough for us to go out there and practice hard. We're going to see exactly what we got, and it's time for us to show it. This conference race is going to be decided here in the next 3 weeks. We all understand that, and I look at it every single day, and I'm like, listen, don't hold back. We've got everything to play for. We've got to push the envelope. We got to make sure the urgency is there, and we can't risk the chance of going out there and not having a well executed plan on Saturday. So. I'm not going to spend any extra hours in here trying to reinvent the wheel. I think I've already done that, and that crap doesn't work. So we're just going to go out and be who we are and play against a great football program in Appalachian State and see where it all unfolds about 5:30 on Saturday.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Stan, and thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, well, a very good team win for us versus a very quality opponent. I thought we played probably the most complete half of football we've played. The second half, a lot of things that we need to improve on and get better at. The ability to run the football in a 4-minute offense, some different things on special teams. We had some missed assignments down the stretch and some different things like that. But, I was proud of the way our kids, the way they competed. I was really proud of their mental disposition, the toughness that they showed. But, this week, a great challenge. I have a lot of respect for South Alabama. I think they're one of the best football teams in our conference. They have real players. They have quality players across the board. I believe 10 out of 11 starters return on a defense that was one of the best defenses in our league last year and one of the best defenses in our league this year. Offensively, I believe 7 returning starters as well. Very well coached, tough, physical, very sound football team. So a great challenge in moving forward.
Thank you so much, Coach. Our first questions come from Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. You kind of touched on what I was going to ask about that. I thought also this was one of the most, if not the most complete game your team has had since you've come here. I want to ask you about that offensive line, though. I thought they did a phenomenal job Saturday night, and they really opened up a lot of things for you offensively. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, I thought all 5 individuals played winning football for us. They worked collectively together. I thought they did a good job from a communicative standpoint, and I thought our backs did a good job of trusting their run reads and pressing the holes, so to speak. But, again, I think the whole key, we were able to win the double positive. What's the double positive? We won the turnover battle. We didn't turn the football over. We were able to generate 2 turnovers defensively, and then we won the explosive play battle as well. And then I think when you really look at it, we only gave up 3 negative yardage football plays. So we were methodically moving the ball all the time. So we were able to control the ball. We were able to control vertical field position. We were able to control all of that. And I think that's a byproduct up front. We still have to get some protection issues corrected. There's a couple times where, they could have had a sack, and Jalen did a good job of really escaping and making some plays with his legs. But for the most part, I thought that group played winning football.
You touched a little bit on South Alabama. What is it about them that really stands out to you?
Everything. As talented of a football team as we faced. Defensively, they're violent. They do some different things schematically. They sit on routes in the back end. They're very talented, very physical, violent football team. Offensively, big play capability. One of the best running backs, really one of the best running back tandems in our conference. Big and physical up front. And they're very well coached in all 3 phases. So it's going to be a great challenge. And then, you put that challenge on top of having to go to Mobile as well. That just makes it that much harder.
All right, we'll go over to Jeremy.
Hey, Coach, kind of a maintenance question, and then maybe a follow-up from that. What's the status on Malik Straker?
Well, he'll be suspended for the first half because of the targeting rule, and then he'll be available for the second half.
Is there any plan to appeal that? And if so, would there be any chance to get it?
Yeah, no, we won't appeal that. And again, it's all about player safety, and I understand it moving forward. And, he'll serve that first half suspension, and then he'll be ready to go for the second half.
And does that have any bearing on your game plan going up against South Alabama?
No, Cam Jeffries played a lot of football for us, so he'll step in place of Malik, and he's done some good things, and they were basically getting to a point where they were splitting reps anyways. So that shouldn't make any difference.
Go over to Logan. Logan?
Hey, Coach, had a couple questions, specifically first just talking about Jacob Baird and the performance he had up front and just his progression throughout the season, how you've seen him grow. And then 2, just the running back room as it is right now. I mean, Jaquez Cross getting a lot of work in the passing game, Cedric Hawkins getting mixed in more. Just how have you seen that room progress as well?
Well, Jacob Baird has been one of those individuals that has been extremely consistent since the moment he came here. We talk about consistency and performance. in our program all the time, and he brings a level of stability to the O-line room, a level of communication, a level of toughness. So, you know, since day one, he's come in, he's embraced our program, our players have embraced him, and he's one of our leaders, he's one of our captains, and very deservingly so. In terms of the running back room, you know, I think when you look up the makeups of a running back core, you really want that room to have different skill sets. And I think the individuals that you just mentioned, they all have different skill sets that complement each other. But I think the biggest thing about that room is they're extremely unselfish. You know, they're coaching each other up. They're excited when each other gets the opportunity to play. So I think that's been the greatest thing to see is the connection, the connectivity in that room. And they hold each other to a very, very high standard, but they're also coaching each other, and they're each other's biggest fans.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Have a great week.
You as well.
Yeah. Obviously another tough battle against the Sun Belt opponent. You know, Coastal made some plays at the end that allowed them to win that game, and all the credit goes to them. But we're looking forward to we're blessed with another opportunity to play another top 25 team in Liberty, and so we're looking forward to that challenge.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike?
Hey, Ricky, I'm curious, the fact that they did get that ranking this week, that they're undefeated, does that add a little juice for your guys this week?
I mean, I hope not. I mean, for me, the reward is getting a win, right? I mean, it shouldn't matter if we're playing a ranked team or if we're not. I mean, obviously, we know we're getting to play a very good football team, a team that's, you know, second in the country in rushing, it's third in the country in explosive plays, you know, that's one of the tops in the country at creating turnovers. So, you know, we're getting a really good opponent, and so I think that should be motivation enough, not whether you know, some sports writers who may have never seen them play decide to rank them, not like yourself who's watching them over and over again and know how good they are. But across the country, I mean, how many of the guys who rank them have actually seen them play? I mean, you know what I mean? So I think that, you know, the fact that I know they're a good football team, and the guys, when they watch the tape, know they're a good football team, is probably more important.
And that's kind of my second topic, actually. How do you know they're a good football team? Because even the games I've seen them play, I haven't seen them against great competition. Obviously, you can learn scheme things and tendencies, but in terms of evaluating their personnel, is it hard because of their schedule?
You know, we talk about this. It's funny that you mentioned that. We talk about that in recruiting all the time, right? It's like, well, he doesn't really play anybody, or he really doesn't do this. It's like, well, if you can evaluate skills. You know what I mean? Or at least I think you should be able to if you know what you're looking at. And as I watch them, you know, I see some very skilled players. I see some guys, you know, their linebacker number 35, who I don't know, he's played 182 games there or something. No, I mean, I think it's 60. But I mean, you can tell. I mean, that guy has great instincts. He has command when he's out on that football field, and he's just a really good player. And whether they were playing the New York Giants or Bear Creek High School, where I went to school, I mean, you're going to be able to tell whether they can play.
I don't know that the Giants would be that much of a test this year.
I assure you that they would.
Last thing for me, you mentioned their explosives offensively. They've got a real good player at quarterback, at running back, and at receiver. What's the challenge of a team that can have explosives in different areas? It's not just an all throw or an all run kind of offense.
You know, I think their quarterback is doing a great job, and I'm not ducking your question. I'm going to get to it. He's done a great job of creating explosives in the run game by reading things properly, in the pass game by reading things properly. I mean, and that means he's taking checkdowns as well too, which gives their coaches the confidence to call more shot plays. The other thing is they know that he can escape the pocket and create an explosive play with his legs because everybody else is down the field covering and matching the routes. So, I mean, I think that he's done a really, really nice job. 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, over 600 yards rushing. And I've just been impressed with how well he's gone through his progressions. And when I watch things, and he's not forcing anything, and he knows that they'll give him another shot call later. I mean, and they know that they can call shots because he's going to make good decisions.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go over to Sam. Sam.
Coach, you've had the chance to game plan for a Jamie Chadwell-led program in the past. Obviously, had some success against Coastal Carolina last year. What are maybe some things you see from this Liberty team that are similar to some of those Coastal teams of the past, and maybe some differences as well?
Well, they're well coached. I mean, I think that's a similarity. They're well coached. They have the ability to use the option as a weapon on offense. But there's some differences, and I credit Coach Chadwell and his coaching staff for that. Obviously they have a different defense coordinator than we prepared against last year, and then they've done a nice job of, even though it's a first year system, they have a lot of offense in, and it's not an exact carbon copy. Just take what we did at Coastal and put it over. You can tell that they've molded some of the stuff that Coach Freeze did there. And they're doing some of that as well. So I give a lot of credit to Coach Chadwell and his staff.
And then how would you assess Grant Wilson's performance this past week? 3 touchdown passes, a pretty good completion percentage as well.
Yeah, I thought he played well. Thought he ran the ball well. Played tough. His decision making was very good. There's a few things we can clean up in his footwork and things like that. But I think he's really played excellent football since he's been reinserted in the lineup.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, and thank you, Coach. Really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, really special week here in Huntington. Probably one of the most important weeks in college football, from a historical storyline and historical time in college football, with it being the 75 Memorial Game, honoring those that came before us. Obviously, college football has a lot of stories and great moments and great passionate fan bases and stories, but I think the story we have here at Marshall is probably arguably the best. You talk about a story of a program completely down and rose up to where we are now. Obviously, this season is not a picture of what this program has been over the history. So to get to honor the 75 and this event at home with this year's team, this community, is a really special event and time for myself, the staff, and the players. So really looking forward to it. I know there will be a lot of events to go on that kind of go around this event and this week in this game. So we're really happy to be a part of it. Looking forward to honoring those that came before us, but how we play, not necessarily the result or the stats or the opponent, but how we play, how we take the field, how we play every play, to honor those that came before us. So with that, open up for questions.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Luke Creasy. Luke.
Hey, Coach, is it important to keep that as the focus, how you play, how you prepare this week, and not put any quote unquote extra pressure on the guys to perform in front of the home fans?
Yeah, I've been blessed enough to be a part of a lot of special games, and whether that's here or whether that's other places. And what happens a lot of times is the pressure gets put on by, you have to win this game. Obviously, you have to win every game. But I want our players to be remembered by how we play. The result comes down to execution. I know everybody gets tired of me saying that, but it does. I mean, if you show me another way that you can get a result without executing, then that's how it comes down. But how you take the field, how you play the game, the passion, the energy, that's how you honor someone. You don't honor someone by just winning a game, because we can go out and play. I mean, we could schedule a high school team and just go out and play and make ourselves feel good to win this game. But to me, how you play in this game, how you represent someone, it's just like your family, right? I'm sure, Luke, your parents don't or are not excited about every decision you've made in life. But how you live your life, how you do your job, and how you represent their family is what they're proud of. And that's what I want these guys to focus on. The result's going to come down to, the preparation, the execution, and playing well. But as far as honoring the people that this weekend represents, I want to honor people with how I do something, not just what we do. Because there's some guys that aren't going to get to play, right? Because they're either redshirted or freshmen or they're not in the rotation. So do they not have a part in this weekend? Do they not have a part in this game? There's some guys that are going to play 1 snap, 2 snap, 80 snaps. So do they not have a part? So I want them to be as invested in this weekend and this game by how they do their job, how they cheer on the sideline, how they support their teammates. And I want to make that the focal point. Obviously the win, right? We want to try and win, but I want the focal point on honoring the 75 to be by how we play in this game.
Go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach Huff, you guys have had a lot of national television games this year, but given the history around this game, and is it important to your program and to the Huntington community at large to be able to put this one on a national stage and maybe educate some of the broader football fan base that's out there?
I think it's important, but I think Marshall and everyone that has come before me has done a phenomenal job of making sure that everyone knows this story. I mean, you can go places and they don't know we've lost 5 games in a row, and they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, Marshall, I saw the movie," or "Oh yeah, Marshall, I heard about the story." So I think the people that have come before me, the coaches, administrators, the community members that have come before me, have done a phenomenal job of, I don't want to say selling our brand, but telling our story and making it, a national story. I think now we're at the point where people that aren't even connected to Marshall or connected to Huntington take a part in this story, take a part in this event, take a part in this weekend. So yes, it does help to be on national television, but I think the people that have come before me have done a really good job of, kind of telling the story and making sure it continues to stay alive.
And then you mentioned the 5-game skid, but obviously you guys still have an opportunity here at the end of the season to make it to the postseason, punch bowl eligibility. How do you keep the guys focused on some of those goals that are still ahead of you that you still have an opportunity to achieve this year?
Yeah, the only thing that is important this week is honoring the 75, and that means a little more to us than everybody else in the country, and I understand that. But it doesn't matter to me this week if we make a bowl game. It doesn't matter to me this week if we win 2 games, 3 games. Only thing that matters to me this week and our team is that we honor the 75 the right way. This is something they're going to hang on to for the rest of their life. They'll always be a part of the Marshall family. So this game, it means a lot. And I want to make sure our players' sole focus is on honoring the 75. If we make a bowl game, great. If we don't, great. That we can worry with that down the road. But this week is all about making sure we have the right passion, the right energy, the right mental focus, because there is going to be a lot of I won't say distractions, but there's a lot that goes on with this week here in Huntington. So I want to make sure our guys get a chance to take part in some of those events when they can, but are also, understanding that this weekend is kind of centered around this football game and making sure that we go out and do everything in our possible human minds and bodies to make sure that we represent this weekend the right way.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, this weekend, nice to be able to get a little bit of a rest for our players and coaches coming after a Thursday night game. Credit to Troy. They played a really great game and made the plays that they needed to make. John's done a tremendous job over there. I have a ton of respect for him and thought that they really did some great things. They're playing some great football right now. Nice to have some of that rest for our guys. Nice to the season gets hard and long, and so it was nice to be able to play with. I got 3 boys at the house and get to play a little football with them, hang out with them, do some of those things. Took my wife out to dinner, so those things are really nice as you're in the grind here. But I think our guys have come in with a really good mentality this morning of being a team that is going to try to be responsive. Things have been hard this year. We've had to battle our tail off, and we've come up short more often than what we want. But we talked about, doing hard things in hard times, and finding a way over these last 3 games to find a way to play our best football here at the end.
Thank you, Coach. A reminder for members of the media, have any questions, going to reactions, raise your hand. We'll be happy to call on you. We'll start off with Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how would you assess Gio Lopez coming in first collegiate start? How would you assess his performance this past week?
Well, I think the future is really bright with Gio. He's a pretty special player. His ability to create some things with his feet, change, what we'll be able to do moving forward as an offense. We haven't had that in the past with Jake Bentley and Carter Bradley. And so against a very good Troy defense, he gave up 1 sack on the night. And really in that situation, that was a sack where, we had an RPO throw that we were getting ready to throw, and they kind of took a chance and jumped it. And he made a great decision of holding on to the ball. And before he could even do anything with it, they hit him from behind and got a sack. So outside of that, he did some really good things, and extending plays with his feet. Made some young guy mistakes, but what I was excited to see is that, he was able to kind of see those things in real time and try to fix them as the game was going on, against a very good defense. So came up short for sure and made some mistakes, but certainly just those experiences for the future of our program are really special.
You've obviously had some success with some quarterbacks out of the transfer portal. How important is it for you guys to have kind of a homegrown guy in Gio and obviously get him some snaps? Obviously not the situation you would want, but get him some snaps early in his career at South Alabama.
Well, I think, how you get your quarterback and all those things, I guess, you can't sit there and say there's a right way or a wrong way anymore to do it. But I do think there's a lot of value, and I think it speaks to, a healthy program if you can develop a guy from the ground up. Anytime you can develop somebody from their freshman year on in your system, that's just a positive for the program. I think we knew in the recruiting process how special Gio is. Certainly, the things that he does athletically, you saw those things in high school. You saw him coming in as a mid-year enrollee, being able to do that. But it's just the way he carries himself. Here we are, and midway towards the end of the season, playing against the best defense in the league. And in pregame, he just kind of has this simple confidence about him, this humble confidence. And so I think those are the things that will, we've got a number of younger players that are kind of like that. They've just got that kind of it factor. And so it'll be exciting, to see what those guys do in the future. But when you get moments like Gio had and the experiences like he had, those things will pay dividends in our future as well.
Coach, you mentioned the opportunity to develop some players within the program. One of those kind of homegrown guys for you guys has been Colin Lacey. He's been one of the most successful and consistent players for you guys this year. What does it mean for him to become the second 1,000-yard receiver for the program?
Yeah, pretty special. It's fun when your standard bearers are also your highest producers in your program. Colin Lacey, the way he practices, the way he prepares every day. He doesn't say a lot. He's not a big talker, but he's really, really competitive, and it shows in practice, shows in the locker room, on a ping pong table. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He's just a really competitive kid. And so it's fun to be able to watch him and see him be rewarded. For me, seeing him grow from where he was in 2021, when we got here to the young man that he's becoming now as a more consistent individual, in his practice habits and all those things. And then also the way he's producing and expects to be the guy that make plays on game days. That's rewarding as a coach to be able to see those things.
And then as a relatively young program, how important is it to have guys from the Mobile area, like, a Jalen Tolbert who's now in the NFL, or a Colin Lacey who's having a great season for you guys this year, stay home, be part of the local team, be part of South Alabama, and really want to come there and build something?
Well, I think, our regional footprint in recruiting is a huge piece to why this is such a great job. And I've said for for a while now. Our best days are ahead of us as a program, and I think it's because of what we're going to be able to do here in recruiting. You know, we've already seen some of the benefit in that and some of the battles that we've had in recruiting, and I think we're consistently winning in those regional battles. Those things haven't gotten to show up totally on the field yet. A few of them have, but I think our younger players are probably our highest potential players. And so some of them have gotten experience like Gio did the other night, or Khalil Jacobs on defense at the Mike linebacker position. But I think, you know, the more and more we get, you know, these guys in and have experience and continue to win in recruiting, I think we can be a program that sustains success year after year.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, guys.